What role should your community play in your overall marketing activities for your mobile game? Very important. You could be wasting a lot of time doing it the wrong way. So how should you approach community strategically? Well, that's what I talked to Sandy Smith about recently. She is the social media content manager at Yoda One Games, and she had tons of insights about this topic. So I'm just going to roll the conversation. Don't forget to follow us to see more like it, and I hope you enjoy. Where does community fit in all of this? And then specifically, again, generic game, studio, thinking about this, trying to build a game plan. How do we start? We've got a pretty good idea for social media posting and content. We've got a pretty good idea for KOLs, at least a strategy for that. What about community building?
So community, I would arguably say, is one of the most important things you can do for your game, right? So the thing about the content and the social media and the influencer, that's to get new players into your game. But you can't forget about your old players. You know, you can't forget about the original guys who started playing your game. You have to do something for them too, right? You can't just...
Well, they'll churn if you don't. So for that reason alone, right?
Right. You want people to not only download your game, but keep coming back to your game.
Right.
So that is where community comes in. And I think it is so important. Like we mentioned Fortnite, look at Fortnite. They have in-house concerts in their game for their community. And what that does is, well, first of all, you bring people into your game for that time. Bringing people into your game, always a win. But also to create a place for your community to go and bond with other community members, right? To have a place for them to share what they love about the game, to share memes, to share maybe even bugs, and things like that. But also that's important for you as a developer because you need to know what your players are talking about. You need to know if there's a bug. You need to know if they want to see a new skin or a new animal or something of the sort. You need to keep tabs on them and have communications with them. Not only for them to communicate to you, but for you to communicate with them. To build hype for a new update. Like a new skin is coming out. Like, make your community excited. And then, in return, you would have a higher success rate on that skin.
So that would be why to do it, right? It's extremely valuable from an engagement standpoint and a longevity standpoint and sort of that long-term growth that you want to see over time.
Right.
The things stack up rather than always being this trying to just have the same number of players I had last month, right?
Right.
That. But what's the actual tactical approach, if that makes sense? So that seems like a very big challenge. I'm already feeling extremely overwhelmed about everything we've talked about so far from the first question I asked. So, geez, okay, how do I do this?
Yeah, like I said, it's a lot. It is all a lot, for sure. It's a lot, yes.
Stressing me out.
Well, I have a job. So there's a couple ways you can manage your community, of course. You can use social media platforms, which I obviously encourage, but there is a problem with that. Not everybody has social media. It seems like it, but there are some people out there who don't use social media. Believe it or not, there is.
A meaningful number?
I mean, yes, honestly.
Okay.
So my suggestion would be to also have a in-game communication tool, which is not social media, but it can help in terms of pushing events. You can push people to your social media. And it is a place for those people who don't have social media to go and communicate with everyone. Now, of course, that's a little bit harder than just starting a TikTok page or something else, a forum, a Discord. A Discord is a great community tool.
Is that sort of the go-to now, Discord, just because it has so many community tools beyond a chat or beyond social media? Posting on Twitter, for example, is very I say it, you listen, as opposed to Discord, which is
Right.
an ongoing conversation, right?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I am a very much a Discord user. I love Discord. I use it, I
Same.
mean, every
Me too.
day. Every day. So, but
There's a
again,
bit of a learning curve. I think that's what keeps people from it. But once you get
yeah,
into Discord, then it's unbelievable how what's possible in Discord. It's so
there,
cool.
yes, yeah, Discord's
They got to stop
Discord's
calling it
awesome.
servers. That's the first thing. They have to
Yeah, because
change the
that's
names of things.
that can maybe
People hear
deter
server and they
people.
think, "Oh, this sounds complicated."
That is a problem, especially if you're a mobile game, right? PC gamers tend to be more on Discord rather than, mobile game users. And I'm not saying
Right.
that's necessarily true for every game, but your Candy Crush moms probably don't have a Discord.
No
So
way.
in that sense, Facebook is your option. Facebook is your answer. So, but again, they might not have Facebook. So, I guess creating multiple places for your community to reach out to you is the answer, but then that can be challenging in a sense of, it's time consuming to go through all the comments and all the DMs and all of those types of things. So by adding more, you're kind of adding more work to yourself, but you do also want to make sure that you're available to as many people as you can be.
I mean, you need to find a way to be responsive, because if you're hyper focused and
Right.
say, if you want to interact, this is where it happens, then the
Right.
downside of that is you're missing a reasonably sized slice of your player base who are not benefiting
Right.
from the community. So you're
Right.
saying, if you can do it, have something in the game where there is a way to interact and share and get
With your community.
updates,
Yeah.
and then do several other things. I guess
Right.
that's maybe Discord, maybe Facebook, maybe Twitter,
Right.
um, and just that's extra work that's probably worth it. You have to give yourself that extra work. Just do it. Just stop complaining and
Right.
do it.
Yeah, kinda. Um, but also, like, it does sound like a lot of work, but in a
It
way, if
does.
you're already posting to Facebook, you're
Yeah.
already reading the comments, if that makes
Right.
sense. Like, you're
Right.
already reading the DMs. It's just another reason to have that social media and at the long term. But
And
I
I
do
believe there
suggest,
are also ways to aggregate things so that you can have multiple platforms in a centralized place so that you can read all the comments and respond. I don't want to
yes,
promote anyone specifically, but that is a thing.
yeah, there's several platforms and services out there that do things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they also can give you some analytics, which might be helpful if you're not one
Mm.
into looking into analytics on your own, like social media. They can kind of give it all to you there in one place. So I definitely would suggest looking out to those or looking into those. But another great thing about community and what you can do with it is you can host events, right? So this is an
Right.
example. For one of our games, we actually hosted a design competition. And
What game was it?
Animal Rebuild Battle Simulator. So we
Yeah.
did a
It's a cool
design
game.
competition. It is a cool game. You should check it out if you haven't.
We'll check it out on our social media.
Yeah, on TikTok, ARBs. But anyhow, we did a design competition, right? So this was so much fun for our community in whole. We had thousands and thousands of entries, which is just, first of all, really heartwarming to know that people are taking the time to design a skin, which is what the competition was for. It was a design competition for a skin that was going to be featured into the game.
How did you structure it so that you got the maximum impact? Where did you share it? And then what did it do?
So we have our in-game forum that I suggest someone should have something like, if not this. We use KT Play. And so we posted it there, and that is actually where people also submitted their entries. So it went out first, of course, on KT Play, and then like maybe 24 hours later, it went out on all the socials. And then from there, every 4 days, we would repost about it, if not sooner than that. And not only would we repost about it, we would post entries of people. You had a participation reward, and it was some in-game currency, some gold. There was a finalist, so we also, there was thousands of entries. So we had a finalist list, and then we also let our community vote on the final,
Nice.
like the
Very
final
cool.
person.
That's cool.
So I think you got more gold and maybe a skin for being in the top, I think it was 10, 15 entries. And then the winner got something really big, and then also their skin was in the game. So it was,
Literally.
yeah, yes. We actually had two winners, and they're both in the game. It's the Cyber T Rex and the Draconic T Rex or something like that.
So they're literally
Um,
putting some skin in the game.
yes, and it was so well received. They absolutely loved it. And we even had like the people who did win the competition, they made YouTube videos about it, not prompted. We didn't ask them to do this. Like they
Right.
did this all on their own, and they like showed their process of making the design and like how proud they were that it was in the game. And
That is
honestly,
so
it was just really
cool.
great.
And it feeds more than two birds with one stone. It's accomplishing so much. Did you generate content from the
Oh yeah,
submissions? I would have.
oh
Okay,
yeah,
so the publishing team is generating content, connecting people together in the game, getting them to share about it organically,
yep.
generating buzz around an event, getting people to share stuff. So it's accomplishing so much with one thing.
Also, I mean,
That's
it
super
also
cool.
helped the game developers. Like they didn't have to create the new skin. I mean, they had to codely create it, but they didn't have to
Right. Yeah,
come up
that's
with the
another thing.
design,
Yeah, new fresh
right?
content. Right. Yeah,
Right. Like
fresh
it,
stuff in the game.
they knew what they needed to do. They just had to like actually do it. So it was
That's
a
so cool.
win-win, right?
So
Um,
thinking about it from the standpoint of the creating these core things that can accomplish more than one thing. It's the
right.
sort of ultimate 80-20 rule type
Right.
deal where you're but you have to structure it really well, because if you had
Yes.
chosen the wrong thing, then it wouldn't have hit. It would have been kind of a flop, and that's a lot of time that your team is spending on something that
Right.
doesn't pay off, and then it could actually leave a sour taste in people's mouths if it's
Right.
not done
Yes.
correctly, right?
Exactly. And you definitely want to make sure you're actually giving people the rewards
Right.
because, yeah, if you like do an event and you don't give out the rewards,
Yeah, do it right.
right, right.
Yeah. Be a good
And
person, for crying out
oh,
loud.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. Ultimately, it's also just really great to do events like that because you're giving people another reason to think about your game without having to play your game. So,
Right.
like, let's say, oh, like I'm making this T Rex skin right now, but then like after that I'm going to go play the game because I've been thinking about the game.
Right.
It's all that free real estate in the brain.